there's a baby waiting for me on the other side. Hi, thanks for clicking on Simply Tanika. I am Tanika. If you are new here, welcome. Hit that subscribe button. Let's hang out a while. If you are returning, welcome back. What's up, fertility fam? We gotta do what? Let's get those babies, ladies. Drops fall and the beauty of it all. What's up, fertility fam? How are you?
There's a lawnmower going. I'm going to record anyway.
So I posted my IVF update video the other day and you guys had a lot of questions, so I want to answer your questions in this video. Let's get to it. First question, Carissa, oh, I think it might be Carissa M. How are you staying positive during your IVF process? You're going to be doing your first round of IVF, and do I have any advice? I take it as it comes, honestly. It's not always positive, and so I give myself permission to just feel whatever I'm feeling. I try to keep a positive outlook in saying I know what my end goal is, like I know where I want to be, and so all those steps getting there are worth it. But it's not always easy to stay positive, and I don't think you always need to stay positive. I think you have to be honest with yourself with what you're feeling and what's going on, and just try and have an overall outlook that is positive. Like, I know this sucks, but there's a baby waiting for me on the other side. Does that make sense? Okay. Chasing rainbows. Special diet. Am I doing a special diet like Mediterranean or keto? Am I doing acupuncture done before and after on transfer day? And how will I choose which embryo to transfer? That's a lot of questions. Chasing rainbows. I'm glad you're watching though. So first one, not doing a special diet, not doing Mediterranean, not doing keto. I sometimes do keto-esque, but overall I keep a pretty healthy diet. I've made a concerted effort since I've been here in California to, like, the last week and a half, to retool my diet because I was eating a lot of comfort food, because we're obviously going through a crisis here with my mom having cancer. So there was just a lot of comfort eating, and my mom was cooking like comfort stuff, and so I've made an effort to kind of scale back. So I'm doing my apple cider vinegar, lime water, and agave in the morning. I'm not doing any processed sugar, so I have my agave and my coffee, almond milk, reduced dairy. I was gonna say no dairy, but like I cut out ice cream, so I'm doing sorbet. I like cheese, so that's my one weakness, but I have almond milk in the other thing, so I kind of keep it in a balance. But no, I'm not gonna make myself stick to some keto or Mediterranean. I haven't met anybody on the keto who's like super happy about it. So yeah, I'm not gonna torture myself. And there are 5 of us here in the house, so in order for me to go to a completely specific diet like that, I would have to cook all my food alone, which is a little difficult when you're like, I'm trying to do my mom's meals and do other stuff. It's the more common meals we can have, the easier it is, just from a cooking, cleaning perspective. Otherwise you kind of create a roommate situation where it's like 4 o'clock, your turn to cook and wash the dishes. 5 o'clock, my turn to cook and wash the dishes. It's not really, my environment right now is not really conducive to that, and I probably will be here for another 4 to 6 weeks, so just realistically not gonna do that. Acupuncture done before or after on transfer day. I'm a huge acupuncture fan. I've been going to acupuncture since 2017. My last transfer, I did it, I don't think I did it after, but maybe before. But yes, if time permits and it's not crazy. So for example, one of the, I wanna say I don't remember. There was rain, there was something crazy going on, so I did not go back downtown for acupuncture because I live in New York. It just depends on what's going on, if it makes sense to get back down there or not. If the acupuncture was like right in the fertility clinic, then yeah, I would do that, or if she could come to me. In general though, I believe in acupuncture support for IVF. I believe in acupuncture support for everything because it just helps me relax, but definitely if and when I get to transfer day, let's claim it, when I get to transfer day, I definitely will be doing acupuncture. How will I choose which embryos to transfer? So most clinics have like a prescribed method of selecting embryos. They usually do some sort of grading or recommendation. So I will choose based on what the embryologist and the RE recommend. Unless for some reason that I can't imagine, I'm adamantly against that. Yeah. Okay, Shirls Stevenson. Since the baby won't be related to you, would you consider adoption? Hi, Shirls. No, I don't think those things are sort of mutually exclusive. One, we don't know that the baby won't be related to me, so let's back up a second because I'm doing my egg and donor egg. So we will see as it progresses which ones it ends up being, right? So I'm not willing to just forego any possibility of it being related to me to go down adoption. That's number one. Number two, I have my own abandonment issues, and so I don't think I'm mentally equipped to raise an adopted child, meaning I can't explain to you why your mom and your dad didn't want you. I still don't know why my dad didn't want me. So I'm not equipped to raise an adopted child. From a very technical, financial specific reason, I don't have enough time. My benefits are going to go away in May of 2021. And the way my benefits work for adoption, I would be reimbursed for it. So I would have to pay $50,000 out of pocket first and then get reimbursed for it, which that doesn't make a lot of sense to me either. Because I'm a single person, the more readily available children are of special needs, as particularly in New York. That I said in the last video, I've now committed to not raising a special needs child just because I will be an older parent, and I don't know that that makes sense. Older parent by myself to be raising a special needs kid. Yeah, so there's just a lot of other stuff going on other than, oh, that child's not related to you, let's adopt. It's not quite that straightforward. And from a timing perspective, I don't think I could adopt a child and have it in my arms by the time my benefits expired. So it'll be April 1 tomorrow. So I've got about 13 months. I don't think I would be able to adopt and have a baby in my arms that is not special needs in 13 months. They have to do home studies. They have to do all these other things. So for me, just from a purely logistical standpoint, it doesn't make sense. And then from a psychological standpoint, it's not something that I feel like I'm built to cope with. So not going to consider adoption. Jan Joy, any suggestions as to which clinics do 2 transfers? Jan, I'm going to interpret your question as you mean they're going to do 2 embryos for your transfer. 2 embryos at once. I think most clinics do, but I don't know where you are, so I can't really recommend it. I would say here on YouTube, if you search for other TTCers, or if you go on Instagram and put on TTC, hashtag TTC, you'll probably find people who are in your area who have done, I know one of the TTC sisters, Genesis Loving, she transferred to, I don't know what clinic she was at. I know another one, Lily G, transferred to, she was at CNY. So they're out there. I don't think it's unheard of for clinics to do that. So I would just ask if you're with a clinic or when you're interviewing with them, ask them, are they open to doing 2 embryos at once? Some of them will say, depending on your age, they won't, but ultimately it's your decision. They may have you sign a waiver saying, you understand what the risks are. I haven't heard of a situation where they've been told no, but I mean, there are libraries filled with things I haven't heard of. So there you go. Okay. Dimples, I think it's Dimples 74. I'm having trouble reading my own handwriting. 1 block tube, 45, great test, 1 cycle with own eggs, advocating for yourself. Okay, so if you're gonna do IVF, it doesn't matter if you have 1 block tube, 2 block tubes, no block tubes. You don't need your tubes for IVF, yay! If your tests are great at 45, I would say talk to your doctors about doing your own eggs. Here comes Elsa. There's somebody at the door. Maybe an Amazon delivery. I've got my Afro puffs going on. Talk to what the risks are, what the percentages are. I think any responsible clinic is going to tell you that after 44, using your own eggs, there is a less likely chance of it. But I think there's probably like a less likely chance of getting struck by lightning when it's not raining. I don't know. They're going to tell you that. The fact of the matter is, most of the studies they do stop at 44. There aren't studies where it's like between 45 and 49 they've studied it. So they can't tell you definitively one way or the other than that it is trending like that you're not going to be as successful. it's also for 40 to 44, it's less successful with your own eggs than donor eggs, right? So it's because you've got younger eggs that are going in there. So I think just have an honest conversation with them and tell them what are your desires, and go from there and see if they're open to it. If they tell you 100% no, they're not going to do it, run. Don't walk, run. I feel like I wasted time when I was with RMA New York. In my first visit, she said, oh, I can't do your own eggs on IVF because that would be like medical malpractice. I should have ran then, I didn't know better. But anyway, hopefully you feel comfortable talking about it. I would just say be calm. I know it's easy to get emotional. It's harder for people to deal with us when we're emotional though, and so they kind of just want to quell it. So I think if you can, as much as possible, come from a logical, fact-based conversation. So do your research ahead of time and say, I understand what the risks are. I'm willing to take on those risks. At least I would like to try with one cycle of my own. And if your finance, insurance, circumstance allows for that, why not? Why not? Okay, I didn't write this right. I think it's Edgewidge P. I'm sorry, forgive me. IVF procedure. You had a question about donor eggs, own eggs, which will they transfer? Why do an egg retrieval of my own if I'm having a donor? So I want to back up because I think if I'm understanding this correctly, there's a little misconception. They don't transfer eggs at all in IVF. So they do an egg retrieval where they remove the eggs from the body. So they'll remove my eggs, they'll remove the donor's eggs, and then they fertilize those. They become embryos and they transfer an embryo. The reason that they would do my eggs, even though I would have a donor, is because that's what I want. I want to see if my own eggs will create a viable embryo. I'm not ready to give up on that yet. I want one more chance. However, doing them both at the same time ultimately saves money. And I know Mrs. 10+1 Angel said it's more expensive. It's all about perspective. It's more expensive if that's the only thing I'm doing. It's less expensive if I know I want my eggs and donor eggs and doing it at the same time. That's less than me doing a full cycle all by myself than the donor doing a full cycle all by herself. So, it's all relative, right? So that, hopefully that answers why we would both be doing it. Don't know which ones they'll transfer at this point because we don't have them yet. So again, it will be based on what the embryologist, the RE, and I decide is best based on how those embryos are graded, right? There's a certain criteria of how embryos are chosen for transfer, so we'll follow that criteria. Can't say what don't know how those are going to turn out yet. Anicia 21, why do you prefer to use donor eggs instead of adopting an infant?
I already answered that. I'm not equipped to adopt an infant. Hey, knock it off.
Yeah, Anicia 21. So I answered that already about the adopting. It's not for me. Nicola H, can you get an egg from your daughter or your sister? Okay. Ooh, I could, I guess, theoretically, but why would I want to give birth to my grandchild or my niece and or nephew? I don't, so I will not be pursuing that. Also, I put this down. There are some things about adoption that I did want to talk about from a financial perspective. An adoption can cost between $15,000 and $50,000. An adoption can cost between $15,000 to $50,000. Typically in New York, they want you to foster a toddler. I think I said that. There's just a whole host of reasons. Like for me, it's just not for me. If it's for you, go out and adopt. I totally support you. It's a very personal choice. Crystal B. Hi Crystal, wants to know if Blue and I are still together and if I will be using Blue's sperm for my next IVF. So no. And no. And I mentioned that in the last video. My donor sperm contract was for use with my own eggs only, not for donor eggs. And so because I'm doing donor eggs, that excludes that pace. Our contract is over at this point. And honestly, it was over in 2018, but he was generous enough to do it one more time for me. So, no harm, no foul there. La 1, highlight why I'm now more open to donor eggs. Well, La, it's really about timing. Again, I have about 13 months left, and so I am willing to try. Otherwise, if I just bet only on my eggs, there's a chance that I won't be successful at becoming a mom again. Of course, using donor eggs, there's still a chance of that, but this increases my odds. And then you asked me to talk about how using donor eggs could increase your odds. I don't have all the numbers. It depends on what clinic you go to. I don't feel comfortable just kind of like spouting that off. I think if people are interested in that, they can go. There's multiple websites. I can't even think of the main website. There's something reproductive health, but it will tell you what the odds are. Again, it's a little weird because of my age, so they don't really tell you from 45 to 50. It kind of stops at 44, so I think that's why I'm really not comfortable with saying, oh, this increases your odds. If you are up to age 44, yes, there is definitive empirical proof that it increases your odds. And so what happens is they sort of deduct from that, like if we take that out further, that also must be true. You take it with a grain of salt. So yeah, that is it. Hopefully that answers all the questions. It definitely answered the questions that you posted. If you need any further clarification, let me know down below. I might do a live. It's a little hard because again, there's 5 of us and the schedules are crazy and I'm working East Coast time and on the West Coast, and I think my sister's off this Saturday though. So maybe I'll do a live on Saturday. I'm definitely making chocolate pancakes. Maybe I'll do a live make pancakes with me on Saturday. Anyway, if you have any more questions, let me know. Glad I got to hang out with you ladies. Bye. Baby does to us all.